All right, so joining us today on the podcast is Chloe Siegmann from Houzz. She is the head of customer success and support over there at Houzz. So really appreciate you coming on today. And just to kick things off, if you could, for anybody in the audience who doesn't know about Houzz, if you could maybe tell a little bit more about your role and what you guys do over there.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for having me, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here. So Houzz is the one-stop shop for designers and remodelers, home professionals, basically looking to better manage their business or attract the right clients. I've been with Houzz for an incredible over a decade, so hopefully I have a lot of amazing experience to share. But so the teams that I oversee now, just to give a bit more insight, of course, is our client success team. We also have an onboarding team, a product support, like technical product support, website design. So you name it, it's pretty comprehensive. So anything post-sale has been in my world. Yeah, really excited to chat today.
Are the teams that you're supporting right now, you guys are obviously remote?
Yes, so that was not always the case. But back in 2020, when we thought we were all just going crazy and that we'd be back in the office in 2 weeks, we never went back. So yes, we are a fully remote company. But it didn't start off that way. So that alone was a little bit of a learning curve, but absolutely actually now a very fun part of our culture at Houzz.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe a good place to start here. Obviously, as you're dealing with remote teams, I'm curious on the support side, is there any way that you guys continually build like a escalation path for like high stakes issues? I know that dealing with remote teams, it's tough to manage and communicate. So how do you guys deal with those and continue to make sure you're building that clear escalation path for those teams?
Yeah, that's a great question. It definitely presented its challenges early on. However, I probably take a little bit of a different line of thinking than most like heads of customer success or heads of a department. So what I have found to be successful in remote is, again, I have a team of about 150 some odd employees across the globe. It was very important for me to stay well connected with them. So some of the ways that we do that at Houzz is we have a variety of different like chats, for example, right? So we have Google chats for every different team, and I am in them. I am in them because I want them to know that I'm here to help. So if their manager can't jump in, or if there's something going on with the customer, I want them to know that it's important for me to understand that. I also actually recently adopted from a mentor of mine office hours, which has been super great. So like highly recommend that to anyone working remote or in the office, where there's basically like no agenda. Invite your whole team, have them come, collaborate, and it's a safe space, right? To bring up customer issues, to talk about processes, or just for them to understand like the why behind decisions that are being made. I've really loved incorporating those into our culture. And another thing that I'm a big advocate for is skip level meetings. Those weren't always something like when I was an account manager, we didn't have those. So I always craved wanting to understand more of the bigger picture and more of the why behind decision. My colleague and myself actually meet with every single team at least once a quarter, where we skip over the manager, and again, no agenda. So everyone who's frontline customer facing comes with us with the questions and things that they want to discuss for about 45 minutes. And it's really helped create like a very collaborative, good communication and feedback form for all of us. So highly recommend that. Yeah.
So are those the office hours? Are they a new thing that has just been started?
Not brand new, but we didn't do them on the onset of moving remote. However, we probably incorporated them, I would say, maybe in the last 6 months or so. But the one thing I would also recommend if you adopt doing something similar to this is, I remember being a rep back in the day, right? And you would come with all these great ideas, or you'd come with all these concerns, and then you're like, okay, so what happened? What happened with that? We were talking for 30 minutes about the pain point that I had. So another very important thing for these to go right is to document out everything that's being said. So I share like where I'm taking my notes with everyone so they can see it. And I provide progress updates on everything that they've asked me to work on. So again, if you're not like circling back on that feedback loop, this could actually be very damaging to the trust that you build. Make sure you do that. Otherwise it won't work.
And I'm sure that's a lot easier now with the AI, like meeting note takers being super popular. Do the remote employees, obviously they appreciate you having those office hours. Has it been a success from when obviously at some point there was a time that you maybe didn't do that? Have you seen it be really successful since that's rolled out?
The moment that you know that it's working is when they come and they don't have much to talk about. So early on, like bringing these to the teams, we would go over on time. We never had enough space to talk about all the things. So yes, you'll have a lot of to-dos that you walk away with early on, and maybe a lot of frustrations, maybe a lot of things coming out, or just new ideas and processes that you didn't know were a problem before. But you know when you're doing it when they just come to hang out and they come to see what they could learn.
Yeah, and I think that's great just because from like a culture standpoint, sometimes there's not always those opportunities to be able to just meet up on calls and just hang out. So even if there isn't an issue that they need to bring up, it's probably great to just have that time to connect and hang out as a team as well. And then one question I just wanted to dig into a little bit, obviously on the AI side, I know it's just AI as a whole is a hot button topic for everybody, but on your side, how have you guys been implementing things either on the product side or internally? And how have you seen it help push teams in the right direction just in the past year or so here?
Yeah, great question. AI is everywhere, right? Sometimes I get like sick of hearing it, seeing it, learning about it, but you can't do that, right? You got to force yourself to understand how this technology is moving so quickly and how it can actually better help your team. I remember when a lot of I don't know, the buzz around like ChatGPT first came out and everyone was actually very fearful of it, right? At least in customer success, I saw that there was a lot of fear, a lot of, oh my gosh, what does this mean for me? And the only way to combat that fear is to learn it, to understand it, to really deeply make it your mission to understand everything that's coming out with different tools and different resources and leaning into the moments where it makes sense. So I would say in the last year and even in the last few months, this has definitely been our mission. Deeply vetting a lot of solutions that are out there and really understanding where they're going to make a difference and if it's the right partner for us. One in particular that's worked really well and was our first entry into having AI that was more customer facing was including that in our chat experience, which seems so futile. Like, of course, everyone has that now, but we learned a lot in the very early days of doing that. So, for example, we learned that people engaging with chat, like one of our customers, didn't really understand how to use it, which seems so novice. Like they were using it like a Google search, like help, not like, how can I get help doing XYZ? So we actually had to give better prompts and better education to our customers of explaining them like, I do best when you give me a lot more information as a lot less. And another thing that we've learned is anywhere, probably in tech, of many of the listeners that you have, we move so quickly, right? So we were running into challenges where some of the information one week would be correct, the next week would be out of date. So that actually opened up new career opportunities for our teams at Houzz, where we have someone now who's so invested in learning AI, was so passionate about understanding the resources that were out there, that we now have someone who's dedicated to actually helping our co-pilot and helping our chat experience continue to stay up to date to give our customers a great experience. So
yeah, and I was just gonna butt in really quick and ask, is that something where so you mentioned there's a new role that maybe opened and somebody that's helping you build that out, maybe with a knowledge base or help center. Is that something that it's just focused on that team, or do all teams help support that? Like maybe the support team or the customer success team, are they helping build those knowledge bases, or is it just that one role?
Yeah, great question. It's one person, but dedicated to help support all teams, right? So we need one source of truth where everyone's speaking from the same playbook. So everyone can leverage what we're screening and entering and making sure that the information is correct. So we found great success from it. Our teams love it, don't even know how they operated without it before, because we were, like many other organizations, deep into Google Drive, thousands of resources. You couldn't find what you needed when you needed it. So this has been very game changing for our teams. Yeah.
And obviously you have a lot of experience. You mentioned a decade at Houzz. So just wanted to touch on that a little bit. How have you seen like your role evolve over the past 10 years? And is it difficult to manage both sides on customer success and support, or are they cohesive with how you manage them?
Yeah, good question. If I reflect back to, almost 10 years ago when I got hired at Houzz, I didn't have a lot of experience. I had a history, of course, of being in sales, being in different like customer experience industries, but more face to face. So I had never done something quite like account management and client success before. So I would say, reflecting back, like I just didn't quite have the strategy of what would be required today for me to hire someone into my team. I'm looking for someone now who's a very deep strategic thinker and not someone who's just good at solving problems. And I think that landscape has changed quite a bit. I need someone who's really good at listening and maximizing the moments for a customer to realize their value, and also lean really heavily into the expansion moments that make sense. And the happiest customers, the ones that are going to probably expand the most and contribute most to our ARR, are the ones that are already here. So I look for a different caliber of employee than even who I was 10 years ago. And I would say if your customer success and your support teams are not working together, then you're going to run into issues. And they'll bubble up from time to time. They still bubble up for us, but I think, the great thing that we have is, again, a very consistent, wonderful feedback loop. So we understand in the moment when things are happening, it's a safe place where we understand the pain points and can work together. So even, for example, any like kickoff meeting, anything where I'm delivering any information that everyone needs to understand, we're all coming together. I don't do it in silos. I need everyone to understand what I'm asking of each team so we can all work together and they understand the why. So it's critical that they work together.
For sure. And you mentioned the way that you are looking at your teams now and the way that you're hiring. Has it always been that way where you're looking for something like across the board as strategic thinkers? They're good at listening and maximizing those moments of customer value? Or has it changed throughout the last decade and maybe it was more specialized at the beginning, but now they need more of a wide range?
I think what I look for now is actually maybe less wide range and more leveling up who they are. We're now leveling up really in the past few years. I think this industry has thought a lot about who really needs a dedicated point of contact and where does that value stay? What's the right point on going out to a pooled support model or having a client success manager? So when someone's investing a significant amount of money because they want to work with an individual, that person needs to also be a higher value type of conversation, a strategy in the point of I'm not only just, again, like answering your questions, but I'm going to help your business progress and give you the right like 2 to 5 year plan of where we're going. So I think it's just a level up of who we're looking for versus where we were looking in the past.
Definitely. And I know that on like the enterprise side, obviously any of those customers are going to be a lot more high value in the way
Right.
that the things that they're needing. I think that they have a lot, like they expect more. So obviously, I'm sure you have the CSM kind of tied to those accounts. Do you think, is there anything like within your product that's more product led that you guys don't have success teams on and it's more on the support side?
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of things like just within because, okay, like me, I hate picking up my phone. I hate answering the phone. I am not great at my personal inbox outside of work. And our customers are the same. So when I'm like using even one of my own apps or one of my own experiences, like I want to find the answer at my fingertips without necessarily having to talk to someone. So it's critical that you find those moments within your product experience that are contextual, that are clear, concise, make sense, and continue to adapt them. Because you're not going to just get it right and then it will stick forever. So it's got to be something that continuously evolves, but you're making it unique to each person and what they're experiencing.
Definitely.
Important.
For sure. And I guess switching gears here a little bit, I wanted to talk on the AI side and kind of building knowledge bases just because I know that's so important with AI right now. Do you guys have like any knowledge base strategy that you guys use to build content, whether it's like your internal or external knowledge base and how you guys are? I know that you mentioned there's somebody there now, but I just wanted to dig into that a little bit more. And what is the process for you guys? Is it mostly content that you create in like a video form, or is it more like manual writing that you're adding to the help center?
I think it's a combination of a few things, but video is a little bit tricky, right? Because if you're screening and trying to grab text in a quick conversation so you can answer someone on the fly, then the videos aren't maybe as helpful. But in moments, they make sense. We lean a lot into transcription for our internal teams on them finding the right resources at their fingertips. That being said, though, like when you're thinking about a customer experience, do I think they want to read a big long article? No, I don't. I think that they probably want to watch a quick video. So I think that the most important thing, though, is aligning everyone who's involved in touching the customer. So whether that's product, that's marketing, even your sales team, All the resources really need to go through one place. Sometimes it's challenging that you have something floating over here in a Slack chat, something floating over here in Google, something over here. So there really needs to be a way to get everyone's commitment. Like, this is the form we're going through, because otherwise it's going to fall apart.
Yeah. So is that new role, is it more so that filter or that bottleneck before things get pushed out to refine like tone of voice and any like errors that might be seen with other departments that are pushing to that?
Good question. It's actively like still in evolution, right? So it's brand new, but there's so many stakeholders at Houzz that are so excellent at their jobs. And we have a team that obviously helps with our customer voice, and our product marketing team is very excellent with that. But I think translating some of those moments into how it can connect with support when there's a problem, or
Mm-hmm.
the right thing to say when a customer maybe doesn't want to continue on your platform. Like, having someone who understands both sides of that go-to-market strategy of giving just not just the context, but the way to communicate it to a customer in moments that matter. So that's what you got to find. You got to find that right person who's good at digesting that information, but can also give the right way to articulate it in the moments that are needed.
Definitely. And I know there's quite a few metrics on the support and customer success side that teams follow most. Are there any that you think are outdated right now, just in like the new age of everything AI and how people are using your product? I know that some are more traditional, like NPS and CSAT. Would you say that you're following those metrics closely, or are there other ones that are more product based and tailored to you that you guys are following more?
It's a great question. Specifically for our support teams at Houzz, we have this joke that we don't have KPIs, we just have PIs, because there's so many metrics that we have looked at over the years, every different cut, slice and dice of data in so many different ways. But we've made a conscious effort to really ensure we're giving the teams across the board a North Star that they're striving for, and making sure that every team has the same North Star if possible. So, with that in mind, I think one of the metrics that I don't necessarily love, which is probably controversial, is NPS. I don't love it. There's a few reasons why. I think that if I think about a customer experience and all the things that you and I interact with on the day to day, I hardly ever leave a review for somebody ever. It just is a nuisance to me. But I will, of course, when they like go above and beyond, knock my socks off, did something incredible. Or on the alternative, I'll do it when they make me very angry. And I think someone needs to know that something's broken. So there's whole place in the middle that we're not getting credit for. And I think that the other kind of note tied to that is when I'm sifting through even our own, like today we have NPS, and I'm looking at the commentary that's given as to why they're rating what they're rating us. Sometimes things can be like a catch-all, or it's not clear enough for me to action it. So, for example, someone out there may say support's not great, but when I dig into it, it's actually a feature is missing, or it's a pricing concern, or something just broke that actually had nothing to do with support. So I think where we're headed is actually we shouldn't have to ask our customer how they feel about us, is my opinion. I think we should know that.
NPS acts as somewhat of a blanket, or it's very opposite ends of the spectrum. It's like you're getting those really bad experiences or really good. It's almost like sometimes I think of it as like food reviews. If you're checking on Google Maps or something, I feel like most of those like reviews that you see are either just like ones or tens. So I guess it's similar there.
And AI should tell us this, right? AI will be able to, I think eventually, if not already, there's probably solutions out there that can screen and see usage and engagement and referrals of colleagues and all those things that are the right indicators of a happy person without me saying, are you happy? Would you refer my product to a friend?
Is there any, I guess, on the flip side of that, since NPS can be basic and doesn't give maybe the right insights all the time unless you're doing that additional reach out, is there any that you're using in place of that?
Not at the moment, but I am currently exploring it. I think one of the things that's challenging for any leader, but especially in customer success, is there's a new solution coming out every single day and big promises of what it can do. And I think that we as leaders have to do our due diligence and making sure that we don't run too far down one lane, that we're super excited about the promises of what AI can do, but truly vetting and really making sure we're understanding it. because that could just make the issue worse. My answer for you would be I'm in research mode. I'm not in I've found the answer mode.
For sure. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And just moving on here to another question I was really interested in asking about burnout. I think that with like high empathy roles, like customer success, it can be easy to have your reps or customer success managers burn out pretty quickly. How do you prevent that as a leader with roles like customer support and success, especially when the feedback loop with product or leadership is slow?
Good question. I think don't let the product feedback or leadership loop be slow. That's a problem, right? They're not going to feel motivated. They're not going to feel like they have the resources to get to the place that they want to be at. And I'm not like an exception for the company that I work at. I have employees on my team who have been at Houzz longer than I have and are still client success managers. And I think what we hear is a big reason why people stay is one, like they do believe in the product. If there's something today that they don't feel is quite right, we spend a lot of time educating them on where we're going, why we're going this direction, make sure they can talk to our product managers or engineers. Like they are the voice on the line talking to so many customers. Why put a block there? Let them talk to them. So we host meetings all the time with our engineering team where they just communicate back and forth, open forum, open dialogue. And same with our leadership team. I want to make sure that if there's a concern, like there's not just festering. Like you hear all the time that people don't just leave the job, they leave their boss. I don't want anyone to leave because of me or because of any of the managers on my team. So I want to make sure that if there's an issue, like they come and they say it and they share it and they feel comfortable doing that. And that takes a lot of work on the front end to make that a safe environment. But you're definitely going to get a lot out of it once you put in the work.
Definitely. And I think since 2020, it's probably been pretty tough within the remote environment to keep reps and customer success managers motivated. How do you do that and lead those teams and keep them motivated or enable them every day or week?
Yeah. I think with anything like I put on my customer success brain, right? So I think about, okay, my employee, what do they want? What do they need? They want to feel like they're helping people. They want to feel like they're making a difference. Of course, they care about their paycheck, but when I hire people in the interview, so many would always tell me, I care about building relationships. I care about making people happy. So you got to think about who you're talking to. So then connect the dots there. So if you want them to feel like they have control over making people happy, involve them in the conversations and get them to see like what's happening with the product and why they should be proud to work for the company that they work for and why they should be ecstatic to talk about it and why they should feel so motivated to ask for more money or ask for a referral to upsell because it's just that dang good. So I don't think it's actually anything as simple or as complex or depending on how you look at it, like a comp plan that's the motivator, a contest, or those are band-aids. Those are band-aids to a bigger issue. You got to make sure that they believe in what they're doing. And the only way that they can do that is you get them in the right space, in the right rooms to communicate that.
And I think it's really important how you said teams stay connected, especially with the engineering teams. How are you guys communicating internally and creating those channels to be able to make sure everybody stays connected and feels like they're enabled or able to communicate effectively? I know that the internal communication is super important, especially with remote teams. So curious how you guys handle that. Obviously, like Slack and Teams are like big there, but is there any other ways where you guys are doing different offsite, maybe having separate calls where it's just like you mentioned, the kind of culture building calls?
Yeah. I think we must be really unique at Houzz in the fact that we just have a really incredible product team that wants to also talk to our customers. So like my client success team is happy to loop in an engineer or loop in a product manager on the feature track that they own and say, this is what the customer said. This is the recording of the call. Would you mind joining me on the next one? And they they jump at that opportunity. They want to see the live feedback on a call with the customer of the product that they built. And I think there's a lot more value there than just chats, right? So that's one way that we do that. But like I said, we also commit to every other week. We all get in a meeting and every product owner shares what they're working on and why they're working on it and live demos it. And we can ask questions and think critically about, okay, when this goes to launch, are there going to be any concerns? Are there going to be questions that we're not thinking about? And at the same time, we save 20 minutes at the end of just pepper the product team with the questions you got. Give it to them, ask them, tell them what you heard from your customers this last week. And it's been actually really well received on both sides. Both sides really enjoy it and get a lot of value out of it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it really does help having other teams be able to hop in on calls. I know that on my side, it's very helpful when we have maybe our product or engineering team kind of hop on because they can actually see the full picture. It's like a full circle moment. I think a lot of companies and teams don't do that. So it's refreshing to hear that you guys are doing that as well.
And it helps build that trust, right? Sometimes when those opportunities aren't there, there's a breakdown. And my product isn't getting adopted because I don't feel like the client success team is talking about it, or they don't know how to talk about it, or client success then doesn't trust engineering that they're building products as fast as they could or as well as they could. And you don't want that. You don't want that breakdown. You want everyone working together. So it definitely makes a huge difference. Yeah.
For sure. And I know that we're almost at time here. We're about at the 30-minute mark. I just wanted to end with one more question, just as more of a general question. What's something that you would consider in your experience over the past 10, 15 years that you're particularly proud of? Not just like the outcome, but the process of how you got there.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think one thing that people always come to me and tell me, which is, I guess in turn made me proud of it, is like, how are you at this company for so long? And how did you get promoted so many times? Like, how did you make a name for yourself? And I think the advice that I would give someone is if you want something, you got to think about really what that is. If you're just waiting for someone to leave and you're just going to fill their shoes one day, okay, you got to wait. But I think a piece that's often missed is, again, in tech and in SaaS, of where is this company going to be 3 years from now? And are you best positioned to fill those holes now? And what can you do now? So there were moments in my career where like we didn't have a support team. And this was our first thing. We were going to take a shot at building a support function. And I said, I'll do it. Because I knew it was going to be part of our story. So I think you got to think strategically about what's not happening now, what's happening 3 years from now, and position yourself to be the best fit for that. And even if that means creating your own role, like I did that in my career, I made my own role and I was able to clearly articulate the reason why the company wanted me in that spot. I think you got to, again, forward think.
So you would, I guess the guidance you would give the audience is to just make sure you're jumping at all opportunities, even outside of maybe, let's say you're in customer success, but there was a leadership position open on the support team that kind of crossed over. Would you recommend maybe jumping at opportunities like that if it's needed, if there's not a clear path in other areas? Or I guess I'm curious kind of what you think there.
I don't think always that's the answer. I think if it will get that individual closer to where they want to be 3 years from now, then yes. So sometimes that means a short-term sacrifice. Maybe that means less in my comp, less in my variable, less of what the customers that I ultimately want to get back to. But having a well-rounded experience is a good thing. So I would say don't always say yes, but say yes in the moments that are going to get you closer when you look down the line.
I agree. Awesome. I appreciated you coming on today. I think we talked about a lot of great things, and I think our audience will appreciate it. It was great having you on, and hopefully we'll talk again here in the future.
Cool. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Chloe. Thanks.